You cannot claim to be the United Nations while disregarding the voice of 54 nations. It is not possible. Africa is no longer willing to wait on the margins of global governance while decisions about peace, security, and development are made without our understanding, without our perspectives, and without our voice. Africa's exclusion is not only unacceptable, unfair, and grossly unjust, it also undermines the very credibility of the United Nations, this organization. Africa dominates most of the Security Council agenda, provides some of the largest contingents of UN peacekeeping forces, and bears the heaviest costs of instability. Yet we remain the only continent without a permanent seat at the main table where decisions about our destiny are made.
President Ruto. Mr. President, sir, we are tired of hearing you all speak every now and then. We are tired of seeing African leaders speak at the UN every other year. No result. So what is the problem? Africa is the only continent that speaks at the UN General Assembly. It is either the world leaders, let me put it this way, the important leaders, it is either they have finished speaking and they have left, or they are yet to arrive. African leaders have never spoken in the presence of either the President of the United States, the President of France, or the Prime Minister of UK. African leaders are the only leaders in the whole world that speak when the important leaders are not on seat at the United Nations General Assembly. But every other year, African leaders, they always have the nice things to say. They always have the emotional things to say. And whatever they say is for their political gains back home, not for any change to happen at the UN General Assembly. And I'll tell you why. Ruto, if he returns back to Kenya, I urge the Kenyan media to ask him for the last 1 month and to the next 1 month, which of the African leader is he going to call to discuss the way forward concerning the African permanent seat at the UN? Ask him, which of the leader have you called? Did you call the president of Nigeria? Did you call the president of South Africa? Did you call the leaders of Egypt? Did you call the president of Ghana? Ask him, who did you call? They always have nice things to say. Every other year, African leaders budget millions of dollars for this trip, just to be at the UN, to speak, all for their political gains, for their political upliftment back home. But they have never been changed. Now tell me this, do you think that your oppressors, the Western countries, the Western leaders, are going to hand over this seat to you? This is what this is what African Union have been asking since 2005 during the Ezuwini consensus. No change has ever happened, and there will not be a change in the near future. And the reason is this: African leaders are not speaking in the same direction. The African Union is a hoax. The African Union is a shadow. It's not a serious organization. They have no one voice. Check out the African immigration system. Everything is upside down. Every country's immigration is facing different direction. It's facing different directions. Tell me why. ECOWAS. Tell me why a country within ECOWAS would deport a citizen of ECOWAS. Tell me why is that possible? Tell me why a citizen of SADC will be deported by a country member of SADC, a member of ECOWAS. The citizen of that country will be referred to as foreigner in another country within the same ECOWAS. Under SADC, a citizen of Malawi will be referred to as a foreigner in South Africa. Tell me why. The East African Bloc. Why should a citizen of Kenya be regarded as a foreigner in Tanzania or in Uganda? Why? Africans are not speaking in the same tongue. We are not facing the same direction. Our policies are upside down. African countries, some of African countries are still puppets to this Western country. Some of these African countries cannot even make a policy. They cannot even sign a bill into law without consulting a Western country. How can Africa obtain this permanent seat at the UN General Assembly? How is it going to happen? This is 80 years. 80 years of the existence of the United Nations. African countries have been members for so many years. And since 2005, during the Ezuwini Consensus, African Union countries came together and submitted the application to officially have a seat in the United Nations. When that happened, the President of the United States was not present. The Prime Minister of UK was not present. The President of France was not present in 2005. Africa has been a joke to these Western countries. Africa has been a joke to the United Nations. But just like President Ruto said, Africa has suffered more in terms of humanitarian crisis, immigration, economic crisis, etc. But yet, when important decisions are to be taken, when important decisions are to be made at the General Assembly, Africans are not represented. But these African countries do not see anything wrong in that. They only go to speak like this just for ceremonial purposes. Do you need us to count how many African leaders have done this? Where do we go from here? We all sit and pretend. But behind closed doors, we know that it's never going to happen until something changes. Unity, Pan-Africanism, Africans all over the world must come together to decide which way to go, which direction should Africa follow. No one is going to hand over this power to Africans except Africans. We can only take this power, take this position at the UN by ourselves. They will never hand it over. But how can we do it? It has to start with unity. It has to start with independence. Whatever attachments that we have with these Western countries, we have to start detaching. Because they do not care about you. Imagine making a decision of over 1 billion people, 54 countries, without the representation of not even one. Without the representation of not even one. 54 countries. Population of over 1 billion. But there is no single representation. And you will keep budgeting millions of dollars for this trip to the General Assembly. Africans, it's either we come together or we are doomed for life. No one is going to do it. No one will fix it except Africans. Thank you for watching. This is Cause Narrative. Thank you and God bless. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.